Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Very excited for our next conversation. All the way from Burbank, California, the wonderful filmmaker Montana Cypress. And we're going to have a conversation about his film, The Transcenders. Hi, Montana, and welcome to the Wingish International Film Festival.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I have so many questions, but I thought I would start with, how did you envision the title for the film? And was it before you conceived of the film, or did the title come later?
I think the title kind of came in the earlier stages. I wrote it as a short play, surprisingly, first. So going
Wow.
into the film, I just kept the title from the short play. And I believe I hit around 30 pages, and then I kept going and going. I said, you know what, we're just going to make this into a feature because I could push the budget a little bit. But yeah, the title has been there since the play.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
And
and I guess the reason why it's like that, because like transcend, and then these two guys are trying to transcend into the city life stuff and the craziness. Yeah.
right on. The where did the story come from? Is it a personal story, what was the genesis of the and especially the relationship between the two guys?
Yes, definitely a hint is from moving to the res to the city and kind of feeling like I never went to film school before, or I never seen a play before I moved here at the age of 27. So I felt very uncultured when I was around other actors who were like, oh, Stella Adler, Strasberg, blah, 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 blah. Are you familiar with this technique? I'm like, no, I'm just learning for the first time. So a lot of that alienation, kind of isolation stuff played into it, helping to form that, reliving that in a sense. And the other one was a writer wanting to be a famous actor or something like that. So one wants to get really smart, one wants to be a famous actor. And that one just comes from my own writing, where it's just you're kind of quiet and alone most of the time, and it's not lifting off for that kid or that character. So he wants to be on the screen, and kind of the adulation that comes with that. So that was the formation of it. And I think it came, I was writing it right around the time Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out. So I was watching that, and I don't know if you're familiar too much with that movie, but it has like a Western movie scene where it has bloopers and he's trying to stay in it. So all of that was going through my mind, and I love 80s and 90s action films. I kind of grew up on those. So that's how Mitch Lightning came about, which is the native superhero kind of agent guy. And I'd never seen that before. So in the movie, so I wanted to create my own thing. Mitch Lightning have horrible one-liners. Lightning don't hit the same place twice. They haven't met Mitch Lightning. And then he has the hot girlfriends all the time. So yeah, I just have fun with it most of all. And then had a kind of serious tone under all of it. So
yes, that's what that was my sort of where I was going next. How did you find and how did you balance while you were writing, and actually also while you were making the film, that sort of comedic kind of fun, and yet there was a message? Like, how did you find balancing both of those things, and as an actor?
That's a good question. I do it very well. It happens more organically on the stage because you primarily work with language. This has to be cuts and scenes, and it's not as theatrical, so it's a dance, it's a balance. But I think one of the things that was the main thing of it all was the artwork of Harry Fonseca at the Autry Museum. And that was the first thing we ever shot. And I said, if I can't shoot this or shoot here at this museum, because that installation was only there for like another month. And I said, if I can't shoot that, I don't think I could do the film, because that's where the character sees Coyote leaves the res, and it had res in like big block letters and explaining what the res is. And he left the res. Now that he's this culture cardigan, turtleneck wearing, glasses, and refined talk, and you know that whole what's it called? How
civilized.
So seeing that artwork was the big arc for him, where he kind of goes inward, kind of remembers where he came from and how he's forgotten it. So that, I guess the locations had a big thing to do with it, that whole thing.
Hmm.
And then the serious tones was just pretty much everything they wanted from this box to make them everything they wanted to be. Turns out not what it is. Kind of like the grass is not always greener on the other side kind of thing.
Right.
So
And then the cinematography and yeah. So how did you, the lens on it is interesting. How did you sort of come up with the approach, this, with the cinematographer? How did you come up with the approach for like your lens on the story?
I love what Quentin Tarantino says. He says, like, if you want to make a movie, you don't really need to know all the technical aspects. You just hire people who know that part and are better
Right.
than you at that. And the goal is to say what you want and then help find a way to make that. So I my whole approach with the DP Cooper Shine, who we worked with like 6 or 7 short films before we made this, was he know we kind of had the same like we mesh now. So I just said, hey, I always give examples of movies already beforehand. I go, this is what I kind of see. And he's like, oh yeah. So then we always have examples of movies that we both love, and that's what we go into like that. Like I love the whole one shot styles, and that really helped because there were days where we shot like 15 pages in one day or
Oh my
18.
gosh.
Yeah, the dialogue scenes. So we shot them in oneers so that we could get it done as quickly as possible and then move on to the next day. So
Oh my God.
I remember there was a day where we got 18 done from morning to night dialogue. We filmed like, if you see the movie, the opening, we're in the apartment, everything in the apartment was all shot in one day. So that everything that you see
Did
where
you
we're
say
at.
you shot 18 pages in one day?
Yes.
Oh my God. See, I love that because, there's all these rules around everything. And like you said, when you have sort of a collaboration, you can kind of make anything work. How many days did you have scheduled though to actually shoot? And what was sort of the, from writing to lock picture, how long was it?
I got writing done in November, and it was a month later. We were already shooting the Autry Museum because I believe we were in talks to already making it all come together, but it was like the ending that needed all the stuff. And it was mostly locations. And the way it was scheduled, because of the holidays, and I had to go to Minneapolis for a playwriting workshop, we had to spare it out between December, January, and the just creasing into February, thank God, because then the lockdown happened in March.
Right.
So it was spread out like 5 days in December, 5 days in January, a couple of days in February, because some people weren't available and all this stuff. It was a mess, but it was a beautiful mess. It all came together. And I told Cooper, and everybody knows that I've worked with before. Thank God we all worked before. I said, hey, we're going to get this done. I don't know how. 18 pages. Let's get it. I rehearsed a lot with the actors beforehand, you know what I mean? Because I'm in it too. So I
Yeah.
have to kind of, if I want something, I have to bring the same level of commitment too. So it was like a play, just rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Day comes, we have like 3 takes, we have to live with one, move on. Boom.
So there's a note from somebody that's watching, and it's Jazz Karan says, I really enjoyed the scene where you were leaving the musical, especially the conversation about immigrants. What made you think up this scene?
Uh, this is coming now, huh? No, okay. How did I come up with that scene? I apologize to anybody out there who's a big fan of Hamilton and the whole movement and stuff. I think it's very impressive, but also around 2016, I saw the show when it toured here in LA, and it was like, I don't know if like many people remember the whole political movement behind it, but everybody's going, wow, this is like diversity. this was when the wall was being talked about being built by Trump. So everybody was like, immigration, ah. And I remember seeing the show and children and all these people, they were all like, it was like the most excited I've ever seen everybody about America, the Constitution, Declaration, I don't know, Independence, America. And I remember I was reading Education for Extinction at the time, which is about the boarding school situation in America with natives. So I had a very mixed mind. And I just felt invisible sitting in that crowd because it did not mention like natives at all through the whole musical. It's like if I was a kid watching that musical, I would have never known Native Americans existed. So, because I feel like myself, I was very influenced by entertainment growing up. So I feel like that had something to do with it. So I just kind of put this character who's like learning so much about his history. And then he watches the show, comes out, and then everybody is pontificating, very like intellectualizing. Oh my God, this is the new thing. This is the new thing. Immigration, blah, blah. And then they ask the character. I just thought it was dark comedy in a sense. So I thought it was funny. And he just goes, so how do you feel coming from a background where your ancestors may have first arrived here when the country was opening its doors? And he's like, well, I think they were here already. And then it's like, what? I'm Native American. He kind of asks like question like, oh, they're still around? And he's like, yeah. So it's kind of like that invisibility thing. That's how I came up with that. And try to express that kind of comedic and like, yeah, making fun of everything.
You were talking about film references. What are your favorite film references? Where do you draw? And not just film references, Montana, but where do you draw inspiration? What are the different spaces as a filmmaker? Just in case new filmmakers are listening and like just to offer some, places you can look for inspiration.
Oh man, well, thank God for the whole movie scene around here in Los Angeles where they show a lot of classics. So I really love like going to see, Barry Lyndon by Stanley Kubrick, or even last night what I talked about, Dracula from 1931, Black Sunday 1960, or watching Terrence Malick films and Ingmar Bergman films. And what's funny is that I watch a lot of dramatic stuff and heavy things, but I make comedic things. You know what I mean? That's kind of funny. I've noticed that about myself. And then I have stuff I need a detox where I just let my brain go. I watched Fast 9 the other night and just laugh at it and stuff. So, or I watch Sylvester Stallone pics because I grew up on that, or Arnold Schwarzenegger. So my mind, but I think at the end of the day, besides films, I have to read. If I'm not reading, I feel like I'm not ingesting real things because that's what sticks with me. Novels, plays, big time, screenplays, and just books on everything, philosophy, psychology. So that's what helps me the most, I think, is the reading. Then comes the movies. So it's like a mesh. And then, of course, life. Life will teach you always. Yeah.
How did you? My internet connection is unstable, but I think it's stable again. How did you finance your film? Question for new filmmakers. Like what's the process and how hard is it?
Financing it, well, I had to go through my own tribe back in South Florida. So everything is like voted on. Like I have to get the majority of the vote, the community, because they all vote something. So
Yeah.
I think what really helped was once my writing took off, like the playwriting workshops in Minneapolis, the plays, yada, yada, yada. They see that you're kind of out there doing it because I'm the only one here from the rest. So I kind of feel like I have to have it on my back or something. Like, yeah, let's all make it to the top, guys. But so I go back and I do little things like I teach little acting thing at the school, or I show my short films there, film my stuff there. And that's what I did for this one. I went back and then presented this whole thing. I said, look at what I've done. Here's what I can do with this. This is what we may need to do it. Let's go for it. And luckily everybody was in favor that time. So that's how I got mine, was through my own, from home. And then my mom and my sister doing garage sales and things of that nature to help me
Right?
with catering. I have to feed the actors well.
Well, it's incredible. You did an incredible job. It's a great balanced film. So what do you um how did the film impact you, the story and the process of making the film? And then what really do you want us as an audience to take away when we leave the theater? What's the message, if there's a message?
Um, what I took away from it, gosh, was just I have to be flexible when it comes to directing and all those things, because so many things I thought was the end of the world, and you just got to really, it seems crazy and insane, but you have to believe that you're going to pull through. It's not the end of the world. Many people have done crazier things. So like, I had actress who, that whole theater scene, she said, hey, I might have a commercial tomorrow, I might not make it. So automatically I want to like rip apart everything and go, what? There's like over 1,000, there's like $5,000 invested in this scene, all these extras, blah, 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 crew, everything is set. Sorry, your project is great, but I might have a commercial that's going to pay me, like, you know what I mean? So I want to rip everything out, but then I had to calm down and then come up with plan B, think of a girl with the same haircut, film her from a different angle. We'll do voiceovers later. So those kind of things. And then next thing you know, she shows up 30 minutes before, everything turns out great, and you'd never know on the screen. So I guess I would say what I took from it is that as crazy as it gets, it's what's on the screen is what matters. And if you get to that and everybody's there for that same goal, I think that helps settle your selfish needs and all that stuff like that. So that's what I took away from it, is be very flexible, believe in the insane dream that you will make it through, and you will. And then what I want to take away from it is, I guess, yes, things can be serious, but it's like, just have fun. If you really want to make films, have fun with it. Express like what seems stupid may be funny to someone else, and it may be great. I mean, I did a rip off of the Hamilton song, so I put my own lyrics in there. I had a blast. That was my voice. I was in dum ba 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 dum. Here comes and make fun of yourself. I have a scene with the girl in there, so I made fun of myself that I lost my native passion and things of that nature. And treat everyone how you want to be treated. I was never above anybody. I just worked with everybody and try your hardest. And yeah, I think express what really makes you happy and what you're passionate about. Like the Mitch Lightning, I love all the action heroes of the 80s and 90s. And even though it's very misogynistic, that's what we make fun of in the thing. It's like blah, 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 blah. So yeah, just express what you're really passionate about and someone will relate with you.
That's a wonderful way. We're just coming up on our 20 minutes, but I wanted to thank you for sharing your film with us at Wingashk International Film Festival, and actually, and also sharing space and time with you in conversation. So it was a pleasure, and congratulations on your film. Look forward to seeing your next one.
Thank you very much. It was an honor. Take care.
Bye.